Good morning. Welcome to the Science of Mind class here at CSLDallas. I'm Dr. Petra, and we are in the chapter of the Science of Mind on Spirit. So we're on page 82 and 83. And remember that we're talking about the different aspects of the one. And because it's an infinite one, it takes a little more than one word, God, to actually describe it and to understand the nature of reality. So that's what we're talking about here. It's nature, the nature of spirit. The fundamental premise which the philosophy of the Bible is developed, as well as almost all of the great religions, is that spirit is one and not divided, even though sometimes it looks like good and evil are contending with each other. This one infinite reality is one. And that creation is the result of Spirit's one mode of action. And so that this whole experience of the physical universe is an outcome of Spirit's one mode of action. And so what is that mode but the nature of first cause? And that its nature, this first cause, is creative. Because it wouldn't be a cause if it didn't have an effect. Right? That's what cause means. To cause an effect. So if we recognize that this creativeness of spirit is its nature, it is because we recognize that spirit is cause. That is its one mode of action. To cause. To be cause. First cause. And it is thus, if this were not true, nothing could come into existence. It is impossible to think of creative life expressing itself other than through livingness. I love this idea that that spirit, one of the best words to get a hold of it, right, is life, which is the livingness within all of creation. We might extrapolate from that also the consciousness, which is in all of creation. So the nature of first cause, another thing we have to agree upon is the nature of first cause is that it is harmonious. If there were an element of inharmony, discord, or decay anywhere in its nature, it would destroy itself. So if you have cause for life, and then you have cause for death, right? You have the two causes contending with each other. But obviously life continues to flourish. And so we extrapolate from that the fact that this cause is always for life. It's always for the harmonious outpicturing of life, as opposed to this idea of a contention between light and dark. So then this next paragraph, and I think we said this last week, is it's really hard to talk about spirit without also talking about soul and body. So this next paragraph reminds us that spirit is cause, but there is a receptive medium into which that cause moves, and it is actually the medium that then manifests into form, brings forth the forms of its thought. And so that which is subjective, which meaning subject to this cause, is always impersonal, neutral, plastic, passive, and receptive, because the medium can't say no to the cause. That's what makes it impersonal, neutral, plastic, passive, and receptive. It can only operate on the cause that has been given. So, and that is then, there's a little more description of that, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on that because we have a whole nother chapter on that part. We're going to really focus in on spirit. So, spirit then is the changeless. So, and we're constantly, okay, that was 3 sentences I just tried to start. So let's just read this sentence here, and then we'll talk about it. Creation does not mean making something out of nothing. Creation is the passing of spirit into form and is eternally going on. So creation is spirit formed, as opposed to spirit as pure cause. Spirit cannot change for being all. There is nothing for it to change into. So spirit can't change into creation, and then creation has no relationship to spirit. Creation can't be separate because if it's one, there is nothing that it can, there's no way that it can be separated from. Creation is the passing of spirit into form and is eternally going on. Spirit cannot change. For there is nothing that it can, so therefore there's nothing that it can change into. So this is where, why do we care about this? We care about this because we have a tendency to have said in our previous spiritual traditions, God made the heavens and the earth, which implies taking something, forming it, there. I've made it. But that's not it at all. It's like, well, the best way that we can think about it today is through quantum physics. We have the wave and we have the particle. The wave is intangible. The particle is something. But the wave and the particle are actually inseparable. They now don't say there's a wave and then it becomes a particle. These are two states of the same quantum experience. One is the movement, and the other is the particularization. Spirit and creation. And they are... Willie's looking at me like, what? Right. I can't tell you how important this is. Oh my God. So this is why the reason this is so important is because we believe and we've been taught that we're here and spirit is out there. And that we have to bridge the gap. Somehow we have to become spiritual. We have to build a relationship with this thing. But the problem with that is it's not true because it's already everything. It's more than everything because it's cause, which isn't a thing at all. It's only a thing until it becomes a form. If you haven't read it, read Thomas Troward. The Edinburgh Lectures, we do a class on it. It's called The Mind and the Universe. And if anybody can explain this, Thomas Troward explains it better than anybody else. The problem is that we have become scientifically and biologically, we've had the experience and the thought that matter is dead and spirit is alive. And dead matter is something we can manipulate, right? And spirit is livingness. And so the reality of it is that this is a continuum. And the way that we know whether we're operating in the world of form or in the world of matter or the world of spirit has everything to do with whether or not there is a form. The minute there is a form, we see that spirit has particularized itself, or as we say, individualized itself as all of creation. Now, why would spirit do that?
Yeah. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Good. So let's just stop there. That is the question of the day. Why would this unchanging cause need to, want to, desire to, or just the nature of reality be such that spirit becomes form? Yes, we've got two hands here. No, it's good. We've got 2 hands here. We're asking you online as well. Please don't forget you can raise your hand or put it in the chat. But we got hands going here, Joseph. So we're going to go right over here to the microphone.
Okay, I'm Willie, and I think I learned that spirit chooses form in order to have all the different experiences, all the different outcomes, all the different whatevers, to become you, to become me, to become a chair, to become whatever.
Yes, good. All right, let's start there. Okay. So that's what you've learned. We're going to ask also if that's what we know or sense, right? Right. Good. Okay. We saw a hand over here and a hand in the back, and then we're going to see if we've got. Let me know if you've got some hands out there. Oh, we got some hands out there too.
Say exactly the same thing. To experience itself.
To experience
because it's
itself.
Everything, and nothing. So, how would it experience all of that
Right.
without form?
Right. Okay. Good. All right. We have, so let's go to online. Let's get something online. Then we'll come to Nicole. Then we'll come back to Ross. We'll go out to online. Popping it out.
Looks like we have a participant here from Zoom. Amy, could you unmute your mic and join the conversation?
Good morning, Amy. Are you there, Amy? All right, we're going to let you work, see if you can get her onto the mic, and we're going to go out here into the room. So, Nicole.
So, just this interesting expression of every day we look like someone totally different. Some of us are very stagnant and very one-dimensional. And a multi-dimensional entity is going to have so many different aspects. You're feminine, you're masculine, your anger, your joy, your the good, bad, and the ugly. Mm-hmm. And so this is a being that is expressing itself in an infinite number of ways, and it's got about 8 billion ways to do it.
And why is that? Because it in of itself is infinite, right? And so Lisa said nothing and everything, right? It's nothing and everything. The nothing is that which is outside of creation. That's a weird thing to say, because if it's nothing, there's no spatial reference, right? It's almost impossible to talk about. But if it's nothing, no thing, it's not in form. Okay, Joseph, we're going to come back to you.
Hey, Marjorie, thanks for joining us today. Could you unmute your mic and join our conversation?
Please. Hi, Marjorie.
Hello there, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, good. Yeah, this topic, this part of the Science of Mind textbook has always left me just amazed. It's very deep when you get into it. And so I actually have a little bit of a question there with Ernest Holmes in terms of he describes, talks about harmonious and discord. And to me, you wouldn't know if something was harmonious unless you had something discordant to compare it to. How would you know what harmony is if you don't have something that is not harmonious? So that's the one thing.
Yeah, so, okay, go ahead.
And then the other part about the creation into form, and why, and I agree with everybody else who's saying this, because Spirit wanted to experience itself in totality.
Yeah.
So
Beautiful.
Totality of experience would also include the discordant or the decline, because once something is in form, in terms of nature, it's created, it lives, and then it must die so that something else can be reborn.
Right.
So I think the part that we don't like, we're the ones that put value on harmony as good and discordance as bad. Who says that?
Well, good. Absolutely. And these are all the things that we ourselves have to grapple with. We have to grapple with it, and we have to find a way that makes it sense to us. And so I want to split your question in half, because you've already identified why it is that we can say spirit is harmonious. And because spirit does not need discord to know harmony, right? That's why we understand the no-thingness, the causal nature does not need anything other than the cause that it is to know that it is a cause. It is only in experience, which means it's only in form, that the pairs of opposites show up. And I would want to beg to differ to say that day needs night to know that it's day. Right? I think that sometimes we want to make, that's a whole nother topic. So, the difference we want to focus on here is that it is only in creation that you can have the pairs of opposites, which is why we use the term relative in creation, because everything is relative to everything else. So you either have harmony or you have discord. But discord isn't actually a thing in and of itself. It's simply the lack of harmony. Hate is not actually a thing of itself. It's actually the lack of love or the lack of connection, right? And so we attribute these two things as if there is something on either side. But when we recognize that in causal reality, we don't have to even use the word spirit. If we can really bend our mind around causal reality, you cannot cause life and death simultaneously. You can cause life to move into expression, and the moment that it moves into expression, what do we have? We have form. Form has two things. It has space and it has time. That's how you know it's a form. It has space, takes up some sort of space, whether it's a quark or a galaxy or anything in between. And it takes up that space for a period of time. If we're talking about universal time, right, the galaxy might be, 13 billion years old. And if we're talking about a quark, it might come in and out of being in a nanosecond. And everything in between. But it is only in the moment that you have form, that you have, as the Hindus say, which is, I think, so beautiful, that you have the pairs of opposites. Or we might say, actually, the pairs of complements. Because once cause has moved into expression, it has immediately moved into the reality of the physical universe, which is this constant movement. Everything is relative to everything else. But in this changeless, right, we're in the chapter, spirit is changeless. The changeless part about it is that in its no-thingness, it is causal, which means it can only be fully those qualities that we begin to understand that it has. Cause, life, we ascribe love to it, balance, harmony, right? Because, and in the absolute nature of that, there is no opposite, because there is no form. So yes, we're the ones and all of life that both express and experience it. And of course, your point is very well taken. Not everything that we think of as bad or destructive actually is, when we can see it from the larger viewpoint of the expression of life itself, because life itself cannot cease to exist. Oh, it might cease to exist. We might, a type of animal might go extinct. We might go extinct. The sun in 5 billion years will become extinguished. But but the cause, the idea of a sun or the impulse for spirit to move into form and into creation, never go. That is what's changeless. And I love that all of you said experience. I think it's actually, I like to couple experience with express. Because it is an infinite cause, so there's an infinite number of ways that it can express itself, and therefore experience itself. But expression only is possible when you have form. Now, does it only have to be the space-time continuum as we understand it? Absolutely not. Does it have to only be the space-time continuum as we've experienced here on Earth? Absolutely not. But form is always required for expression or experience. Otherwise, you simply have cause. And we might ask ourselves, where does the idea of cause or cause itself reside? Well, it's no thing. It's only something when cause becomes an effect, when cause has an effect, when cause's effect manifests. You know, it's really hard to talk about because the minute we're talking about it in the space-time continuum. We're talking about it as if there's a time lapse between cause and effect, and there isn't necessarily a time lapse. There might be in our experience. Yeah. All right. Hand up over there, Joseph. Let's see what's going on out there.
Brenda, could you please unmute your mic and join us?
Good morning, Brenda.
Good morning. Interesting conversation. I have one comment and then a question I'd like to explore more. So the comment, why must spirit manifest into form beyond experiencing itself and all of the infinite possibilities? We describe spirit as energy, life force energy. Energy cannot be still. It must be in motion. If we take the prophet that said E equals MC squared, I used to know the physics behind the C, but for me, C squared is consciousness. Little c squared to the power big C. It's
the constant of the speed of light is what the C is.
So you know that, but I find it, I like thinking of it as consciousness.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah. So energy must move. In the issue of harmonic and disharmonic, energy and movement is vibration. And like the stone in the pond or a musical instrument or anyone who's played in an orchestra or choir, there are vibrations that amplify, vibrations that are neutral, and vibrations that suppress. As above, so below, that happens within us as well as the universe. So that's comment number one.
Yes, okay, we'll stop you right there, because the moment you can point to energy, you already are in form. You are not in no-thingness. So yes, of course, energy can do exactly what you just said, amplify or suppress. But what is before energy? What starts the wave? Right? That's cause. No-thingness. I mean, it's really hard to bend our mind around. And the moment that we have to understand that E equals MC squared is a metaphor for our understanding of the relationship with spirit and matter. But it's actually, the equation itself is actually about energy and matter, which is not incorrect, right? But if it's a continuum and we have matter, and then we have the quantum, and then we have energy, and then we have photons of light, and then we have the void from which all things come, spirit, causal reality. There's no gap. It's a continuum. And so this is why we really understand that cause has no opposite unless you set a different cause in motion. I can set a cause for joy, and I can set immediately thereafter a cause for disappointment. Because my joy is we're going to go on a picnic, and my disappointment is it's raining. but I cannot set a cause for joy, disappointment. So, because that cause is not physical in any way, shape, or form. It's only the experience of the outcome. Right? So we want to just, okay. Brenda, you had another point, and then we're going to come up here.
Thank you. I appreciate that reminder when I lose sight of that. The other thing that really grabbed me this time, in spirit, soul, and body, we spend a lot of time talking about spirit and a lot of time talking about body, and that middle section, the law, the absolute receptivity. And when you linked soul, my consciousness experience of this life form as receptive, that hit a nerve with me, and where I've been grappling on accepting and allowing and receiving. And I had been coming at that from the mindset of my form, accepting and allowing and receiving. And what you resonated today is perhaps I'm working in the wrong level for the boundary of my accepting and receiving. And so can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and we're going to talk all about that, Brenda, when we get to the next chapter on soul. We're going to talk a lot about that. It's because it's really hard to parse them out. Obviously, can't talk about one without the other. But what we want to do is always remember that Ernest Holmes has co-opted the use of the word soul. And when we say spirit, soul, and body, he is not using the word soul in any way, shape, or form that you have ever heard it before. It does not mean your essential self. Your essential self, we use the term spirit for. He uses the term soul to mean that impersonal process by which cause becomes effect. He also uses the word soul to encompass the substance from which all things are created. Energy, photons of light, packets of information, wherever that continuum winks out of existence into no thingness, right? That right before thingness, that there's the substance from which all things are made. In the ancient stories from Genesis, it's the dust into which God is supposed to have breathed, right? And so we're going to talk about all of that. And so we can certainly say in the way in which you are using the term soul, which really has nothing to do with the way Science Mind uses the word soul. Yes, there is also that within us which allows us to be receptive to the impress. And we use the term subjective mind for that. It is subject to the impress of cause. And so when we are being receptive and we're being open to that, we are standing in the place of our own subjectivity, as opposed to being directive, not opposed to. A complement to that we can be directive, we can be causal, but we can also recognize that life is flowing through us, and we are allowing that to be cause. It will also, of course, filter through this beautiful stained glass window that we are. So we're going to get to the whole section on soul here in a little bit. All right, so we'll get to that piece of it. All right, we're going to come into the room here.
Okay. This is Ross.
Hi, Ross.
And I'm kind of going to stumble and bumble through this.
Please go for it. I am too.
Spirit does not have a direction. It has all directions in terms of creation. It didn't single out us for life. It just is doing everything.
Right.
Which means, I don't know what that means.
Well, so from a Science of Mind point of view, creation has been forever evolving to become a better and better and better place in which spirit can express and experience itself. if we recognize that part of what that livingness is, right? Ernest Holmes writes livingness, we might use the term consciousness. So the entire intent of evolution is to create forms in which consciousness can express itself and experience itself, right? And so it's great. Well, the consciousness has a certain level of expression and experience in a mineral or in a photon of light. It has a certain level of expression and experience in a plant. We're going to just stay here on planet Earth because, I've read enough science fiction to know what all the other possibilities are, but we're just going to stay right here on planet Earth. And spirit can only have so much experience and expression in a plant and in an animal and in all the ways in which consciousness is evolving organs through which it can express and experience itself. And so as it has achieved organs that can begin to become self-aware and self-conscious, in that moment, self-consciousness has become revealed. And it can now express and experience itself and know that it's expressing and experiencing itself. And that's where we see humanity coming into play. There clearly are other species that are also evolving into self-expression, self-experience. There are very few that are as actively engaged in changing creation as we are, right? As impacting creation as we are. So this is why the very beginning of the very first chapter, not the introduction, but the very beginning of the very first chapter, this might be the most important thing that is ever in this book. Let me read it to you. No, maybe it's at the very beginning of the very first. Maybe it is at the very beginning of the introductory chapter. Here we go. This, on page 25, the first page of the thing itself. The science of mind deals with the questions, right? How does this all came to be, and why do we experience ourselves the way we experience ourselves? The divine plan is one of freedom. Bondage is not God ordained. Freedom is the birthright of every living soul. We are not, there's no divine plan where Spirit said, I think I'll create Ross. Yeah. No, there's life, spirit, livingness, cause, constantly evolving forms in which it can express and experience itself more and more and more and more until it wakes up to go, I'm causal. I'm expressing and experiencing life. And this whole idea of radical responsibility, right, we talked about the other day, is spirit waking up to itself. We're the place where the one infinite reality is now actually getting to be present to its own nature.
It seems that this thing is mechanical, and at the same time, it has a direction.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
And what's the direction?
It's going to be some form of awareness or self-expression. It's going to be something like that.
Which is life seeking to express itself.
No. I'm done.
Okay, I saw a hand out there, and then we're going to come back here.
Amy.
Oh, hi, Amy.
Hey,
Hopefully
Amy.
we can hear you now.
Go ahead and unmute your mic to join us today.
I hope you know how to unmute your mic. Just click on the microphone icon. Can you unmute her for her? No. Okay. So if you want to put your thought in the chat, Amy, then Joseph will read it out to us, okay? Not sure what's going on there. We'll keep working on it. All right, we have a comment here. Do we have a microphone? Thanks, Patrick.
So we all said that God wanted to, or Spirit wanted to express itself, or wanted to experience itself. But really, it's not God, it's not Spirit wanting. It's just the nature of Spirit.
It's Spirit being.
It's Spirit being.
Yes.
Yes.
Say that again. It's what?
It's not Spirit wanting, it's Spirit being.
It's Spirit being.
It's
Spirit
the very
doesn't have desires.
It simply
it has a trajectory.
Yes. And I would say that trajectory is its desire.
Okay. I'll have to grapple with that a while.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Right. And, which means we keep always, of course, because we're the center of our own universe, we always want to know, how does this apply to us? How does this apply to me? What if your desire for livingness was actually Spirit as you desiring your life to be fully expressed?
Wow.
Boop, 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 boop. Right.
Yeah.
Because you are Spirit, individualized as you, waking up to the fact that it is individualized as you and can engage in causal creation.
Evolving. Right here.
Well, you've already been physically evolved to be that organ.
I know.
Now your ability and understanding of that is now the thing that's evolving. And we're contributing to evolution of the physical universe. Just look at climate change. We are now able to create life and destroy it. So we are now at the same causal level. Whoa. Comment back there. Why it's so important to take radical responsibility.
Hi, my name is Barbara.
Hey, Barbara.
I look around the room and I see all this consciousness that's just brought into our existence. That all this beautiful art has come from somebody's mind and imagination. Mm-hmm. And that I feel more of feeling that I understand all this without actually knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful, right? So we all have different paths, right? That's what we love about the Hindus. They understood that. Some of us grapple with understanding it. Some of us move and have mystical experiences of this. Some of this have a deep feeling of it. Some of it really need to work in the world to experience it. And all of those things, all the different ways that we can enter into it begin to help us make it more real for us. And we can really see, right? Somebody decided, well, we know who it is. Linda Matthews decided to sit down. Now, what's mechanical about this? What's mechanical about this is that if you put yellow and blue together, you get green. And if you put 7 different colors together, you get mud. So what else is mechanical? You have to layer it. You have to understand how the pigments work. You have to learn the shapes. You have to express positive and negative space. Back to the comment of, well, how would we know harmony if we didn't know discord? Well, because they're complements of each other. They're complementary expressions of life itself. And so there's something very mechanical about this, but there's also something extraordinarily beautiful. And there's an expression that is unique and precious. And it was Linda's desire to sit down and pour that out onto canvas. Yes, right. But she's doing it differently than Lauren did last month. Do you see? It comes through us. Now, when it's out there in the world doing its thing, when we're talking about creation, I don't mean out there in the human world, but out there in the world, in nature, creation, right? You have 40 million seeds so that you can have one tree. Here, right, we have that individual desire, and Linda does it this way. Lauren did it the way she does it. Ryan, the month before, does it the way that he does it. Do you see? So it's not just what Spirit wants as us. It is the impulse, the causal impulse of life itself, which naturally, automatically is filtered, shines through. I mean, there's so many metaphors, expresses uniquely as each of us. Uniquely. That we can never get away from that. Why would we want to? This is why you came into being. So that Spirit could express uniquely as you and experience that. But it's you now, individualized. Spirit as you. Not Spirit just through you, but Spirit as you, the individualized expression of life. And then you pour this beauty out onto the canvas, which is why that's why I think it's more than just a trajectory for life. It is actually a desire to express, a desire to experience, which is why we in the science of mind over and over and over and over use that term. Not the desires of our appetites. Not the desires of I love chocolate and I want to stay up late because I want to binge watch. Not the desires of, right? But the desire of who we are expressing uniquely as us. And that there's something that is something for us to continually be present to.
Is that the nature of Spirit?
Desired? Yes.
We burn with it.
Yes.
So
So I'm a little bit like the word desire.
Right.
Seems like a human thing.
yeah.
And like for spirit desire must be something so much more.
Yes, and of
Than
course,
just
well,
our human
that's what I'm saying. It's not the desire of our appetites. It's not the desire of our bodies or the desires of our mind to rationalize things right? But the other word that he uses somewhat synonymously with the word desire is impulse.
It's an impulse from Spirit.
As Spirit, the impulse of life itself, Spirit, automatically becomes creation. That's the cause, right? The impulse is the cause.
I was going to say, no, thank you. This is Barbara again. Isn't it similar to a seed just being the seed of a tree or being the seed, just unfolding as itself? Its trajectory is to be the flower, is to be the tree.
Yes. And it's inherent with, yes.
No choice.
It's inherent within that, the very aliveness that is inherent within the seed itself. And so, so there's something that causes the push. It's hard to break out of the soil.
Yeah,
it's hard to,
before the impulse.
it's hard, but that's the thing. That is what starts it. And it's always forever going on. There is no beginning and no end.
I'm glad that we do this in small doses.
I know, right? It's a lot to ponder, right? And we can't fully grasp it. There's no question about it. We can't fully talk about it. This is why the meditation experience, the mystical experiences, the walking through nature, to allow the Sermon on the Stones and for it to reveal itself to us, right? And there is something within us that feels it, senses it, and in fact intuits it, even if we cannot fully bring it into language. And the moment, of course, we bring it into language, we've brought it into the space-time continuum, and now we've, introduced duality and the pairs of opposites, and we just have to do the best we can. Right? We just do the best we can. The most important thing is then for you to go away and contemplate, like, well, what does that mean? What, how does, and find metaphors and scriptural passages and poems and art and music and things that like, oh, even if you can never put that oh into a sentence. So.
Or just accept this is what it is.
Amen. Yes. And I'm sorry, Joseph, we're going to say one more thing and then we're going to get in the wrap up. I remember I had a friend who said years and years and years ago, I don't actually know whether this is true or not, but my life works so much better when I pretend it is.
Yes.
And that's what it means to prove it to ourselves. If we try to say, well, what if it is this way? What if this is the truth? Okay, let me act as if, let me pretend as if, let me prove it as if, and then we can then say, yes, I know something about this, or yeah, this doesn't work for me, and we find another path. Yes, small doses, something to contemplate. I'm so grateful that you are with us and that you're enjoying this. I do want, for those of you especially who are online, I do want to let you know that if you are not normally any other place with us, we are in our pledge program. This is the one time of year which we do ask for people to support CSL Dallas. If you're with us on a regular basis on a Sunday morning in class, we love having you. We love having you here in the room. We love having you online. And so we would ask for you to also give a pledge to CSL Dallas. Joseph is putting the csldallas.org/pledge link in the chats, both in Zoom and on Facebook. If you're watching it now or you're watching it later, please, please, please do consider pledging. It is what allows us to give this mind-blowing time together where we grapple with these things, and we want you to be a part of it. So please do be a part of CSL Dallas and give us your pledge in October. So Joseph, have you been able to put those in the chats? Great. All right. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week. Bye for now.